I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:31. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay. Then seeing no adjustments to the agenda, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for March 25th, March 28th, and April 1st of 2020?
So moved.
And seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it's been passed. So I was just going to read off some notes real quick regarding how we're going to go forward with these meetings. But before diving into the logistics of select board meetings during the COVID crisis, I want to take a moment to honor the work of those that operate our town. Town hall may be closed to the public, but I assure anyone that may be watching this that behind those closed doors, our town management is not only maintaining regular operations, they are also taking actions that assure the town of Putney is responding thoughtfully and nimbly to every evolving COVID concern in our community. Both Karen Astley, our town manager, and Tom Goddard, our emergency management director, are working overtime with all the town departments to support our community during a very scary time. I also want to acknowledge the dedication and support of my fellow select board members. Thank you for stepping into such difficult circumstances without hesitation or complaint. And finally, to the people of Putney, every day I hear about neighbors helping neighbors from a safe distance. I hear about our local service organizations and businesses quickly adapting to support the needs within our community, and our community equally as quickly rising up to support local organizations and businesses. I hear bells ringing at 8 p.m., see homemade masks on our town staff and organizations. I also see teddy bears in windows when I go to work. I see how our local school staff quickly restructured their entire way of educating and feeding children overnight. It's pretty incredible, and I'm in awe. COVID-19 has already impacted this community and will continue to, but it will not break what is Vermont strong. To all of you, I extend my deepest gratitude and respect. Now, moving on to a bit of housekeeping. Karen and I discussed...
Just quickly, same to you, Laura. Thank you for leading us through this and for doing all the work that you're doing.
Appreciate that, Josh. Thanks.
Thank you.
So now a bit of housekeeping. Karen and I discussed best practices to ensure these meetings go smoothly and encourage robust public participation. More than one person speaking at a time makes conversation on video platforms very difficult to understand. So with that in mind, we're sharing the following guidance with any public that chooses to participate. Please understand that this is new to us and therefore a work in progress, so please be patient as we adapt. We will start every meeting with introductions of the select board and participating town staff. The town manager will mute all microphones except the select board and herself, or any invited town staff. All participants should send a message in the chat app if they would like to speak. The mic will be handed over to select board members and town manager first. Public comment will be during the following times: the agenda item, public comment on items not on the agenda, discussion on any moved agenda items, the agenda item, other business. Depending on time and participation, public comments may be limited to 2 minutes per person on each item. Please state your name before making comments. Video is encouraged if you're able. The easiest way to share your webcam is to click the button on the Grab tab, or you can click the Share My Webcam button on the control panel. Pause and resume your webcam by using the icons in the top right corner of your webcam feed. If you're unable to attend a meeting and would like to have a comment submitted, email it to myself or Karen, and we will read it during public comment on items not on the agenda. And so I'm Laura Chapman. And would you all mind introducing yourselves?
I'm Josh Laughlin. Yeah. Well, I'm the vice chair, and I will post my name on my screen as well.
Thank you, Josh.
And I'm David Babbitt, and I'm the clerk.
I'm Karen Astley, Town Manager.
Tom Goddard, Fire Chief and EMD.
Thank
Alyssa
you.
Harlow, Administrative Assistant.
Okay, so now we're moving on to public comment on items not on the agenda. And I'm not sure if we have, I don't believe that we actually have anyone from the public in this meeting right now. So we can move on to select board items. And our first item for discussion is the emergency management preparedness update from Tom Goddard.
Thank you. So as of 1 o'clock this afternoon, and again, I'll do the same thing that I have typically done with these. I'll go over state things, information, and then concentrate on locally and regionally. So as of 1 o'clock this afternoon, there are 605 total positive cases in the state. Unfortunately, 23 deaths associated with those totals as well, and 40 positive cases within Windham County. As recently as earlier this afternoon, during a teleconference, the Department of Health is continuing to reiterate to us that we need to expect to see increased numbers of cases throughout the state. And in saying that, they're also very quick to say, the governor certainly is very quick to say that through modeling, they're able to comfortably say that all the steps that are being taken, all the directives that are in guidance that is being issued and are being taken are truly having a positive effect on lowering or helping to flatten the curve. So that's positive. It's also being indicated to us again as recently as this afternoon. The peak is expected to hit us in the state within the next 2 to 3 weeks. What that's going to look like, we don't know for certain. All the preparation that's possible is being taken throughout the state and certainly here to the best of our collective abilities. The governor has also earlier today indicated that on Friday he's going to very likely issue some additional directives and guidance. One of those being the extension of the original emergency order, which was presented to us. So we'll wait and see Friday. By Friday afternoon, we'll know what additional directives and guidance he's issuing to the state. Of significant concern, I think is fair to say, as I've been predicting, trending is increasing pertaining to increased number of calls surrounding mental health issues and certainly domestic violence issues throughout the state. Putney is no exception to that as far as the mental health issues. I'll go into it a little further as we go along, and certainly in consulting with the state police, the number of domestic violence related issues within town are up slightly. Governor Scott yesterday submitted a major disaster declaration request to Washington. We learned earlier this afternoon that that submittal has been approved by President Trump. So that's gonna free up and give the state some additional FEMA funding and some latitude in different areas for funding. So that's good. Two specific things that the governor requested within his submittal was disaster unemployment assistance and crisis counseling assistance. Both of those are still under consideration in Washington. Those have not been approved or denied yet. We hope to hear within the next couple of days, certainly hopefully by the end of the week, if those two specifically are approved. That's it state-wise at this point. Any questions on any of those things?
The peak, I know NPR is saying our peak is somewhere between the 4th and the 9th. That doesn't really make sense given what we're seeing. When you hear the governor say a peak sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, do you have any anecdotal or reason to suspect that we're talking sooner rather than later, or later rather than sooner, or what are you hearing any? Because I listened to most of the discussion today with the governor, and or not today. Yeah, I guess it was today. I don't have a clear sense of what we're thinking we know about the peak. Do you?
No. All I can say is by the graphs and the charting and the trending that's being provided to us, we're still climbing sharply day to day.
That was my sense, and that.
Yeah, since and I don't remember the date off the top of my head. Since the end of March, daily we've been on a very sharp and steep incline. So given that and the way that the plotting looks right now, we're not close to a plateau yet. And then once I'm going to assume, similar to other places, and their modeling, I can't believe that it would be drastically different in the state of Vermont. But once we hit peak, then that peak plateau is going to go on for several days before we start to see a decline.
Right.
So I think that peak forecast of within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I don't know for certain, but that may include that peak plateau as well. So regionally and locally, at this point, certainly all of us throughout the region, we're monitoring our supplies pretty closely. The state is receiving more shipments of PPE for us. All the towns and the departments, we're all putting in requests for equipment to be delivered to us. We put in yesterday. We put in our last one, which was pretty significant in size. So we'll see what we actually end up getting out of it. As far as operationally, and this has been this way for several days now, we're operating under the concept that every individual, every citizen we come in contact with is infected. That way, our mindset is very clear, in the likelihood or the possibility of us making mistakes is going to be pretty nil. As I mentioned earlier, we're fielding daily requests now, at least 3 a day, from citizens looking for assistance, mental health wise. Certainly being cooped up within 4 walls day after day after day, that's not conducive for anybody. So thankfully, we have quite a list of volunteers who have come forward. I've dove into that list several times for counselors, and that has worked very, very well for people. Thus far, we've not had to transport anyone into Brattleboro, into the ER, for any mental health crisis, and hopefully things will stay that way for us. Earlier, it was late last week, we entered into at this point, what is a verbal MOU. It will transition into a written MOU if necessary. the Putney Inn. So in the event any of our responders, number one, find it necessary or required to quarantine, and they wish to do so away from their families, we have a housing location for them. In the event, unfortunate event, anyone is infected by the virus, they would be housed there. The Putney School, they've known about that MOU, and they've offered, as well as one other place in town, to provide food for those folks 3 times a day if it becomes necessary. So that's all in place. The directive actually just came down, our guidance just came down today from the state, the governor's office, indicating that it would be a wise choice for all municipalities to secure such housing if it becomes necessary. So we're ahead of that curve. Earlier this week, as it was actually on Saturday, we started doing, and it varies, but frequent, up to and including daily welfare checks with folks. Right now, we're doing that primarily by email, which has worked well. There are a couple folks by phone, and so far, fortunately, everybody's doing well. There've been a couple things we've had to address on behalf of folks, and we've done that. So that's all working well. Above and beyond that, planning for any possible issues that can come up, we're still doing that. At this point, quite bluntly and honestly, all of us throughout the area, our big concern now is understanding the peak, when that's actually going to hit, and what we've missed. Either what we've missed, what we haven't planned for enough, and all of us keep bouncing those ideas off each other, and we're coming up now with what we assume to be the case. We're as set as we possibly can be, and now we just react as we need to. Everything's in place across the board for all of us. And we all know that if any one department needs anything, the other folks are going to step in and back them up. And we just see where we go. We react as we need to.
Thank you, Tom. I have a quick question. You said that you have volunteer supports for counseling. Did you get a pool of licensed counselors that are volunteering for this?
Yes, and those folks signed up within the Putney group. Mm-hmm. So that's been fantastic.
I'm so glad to hear that. Oh, Josh, do you have any questions or comments?
I'm wondering, Tom, how you feel about your staffing at the moment. Are you? I'm sure you're stretched, and I'm sure some of your people are stretched, but yep. Are you feeling okay about it at the moment?
Yeah, right now things are okay. Throughout the region, things are still okay, and we're just monitoring that daily. So if we see one specific area of the county or one specific area within our mutual aid system that is starting to have problems, we'll see that very, very quickly and be able to appropriately react to that and back those folks up to the best that we can.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Good.
Just one other thing that I wanted to note, and actually, this was something that the governor alluded to a couple days ago, and it is the reality. At this point, given that we are as set as we possibly can be, so to speak, and prepared as we possibly can be for what we're forecasting. At this point, we're starting to, and we all need to start to look ahead beyond this, and prepare for whatever our new normal is going to be. And I'm not sure that we have a definition for that yet. But certainly financially and operationally, we're gonna need to start looking ahead as a town, as the different departments, as a community, so on and so forth, and just start to plan for coming out of this during the recovery phase.
The other thing I would add to that, Tom, and I'm confident that you're making all the correct assumptions in the moment about doing as much as you can, but I'm also very aware that if you look back historically to 1918 as the clearest example, but the nature of pandemics in general is the cyclical nature of them, and the reality that we are very likely to have another and probably more severe wave of this at some point in the relatively near future. And just that we should remain vigilant about that, both in our awareness, but also, if we have a downtime, let's not get caught off guard with PPE, for example. Let's create not a ridiculous stockpile, but a sufficient stockpile so we could weather this without being concerned about it if it comes back around. And same, and I think this is what you were alluding to. Also, the new normal, it's hard to know how far away normal is going to be. And I think that being prepared for what's happening between now and the new normal is going to be important.
Absolutely.
I think that, in all reality, vaccine is more than a year out. National data is showing that it's likely that 95% of the population is still going to be susceptible to infection even after we get through this current wave. That leaves us largely unprotected if we're not very cautious. So.
Right, exactly. And actually, in watching different press conferences, so on and so forth, in reality, right now, the three governors, the governor of New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, they're all saying they don't want people to get complacent once they see a downturn in cases within the states. So obviously that is part of our planning now, is looking at that to try to make sure and expect what the governor is going to direct for us, and guidance he's going to provide, to not allow another uptick of cases after people get comfortable. And we know it's going to happen. We know the minute that there's a downturn, and things are looking better, we know social distancing reminders are going to have to be in place. I'm sure that the governor's guidance right now, as far as wearing masks all the time, facial coverings, that's going to remain in place. Restrictions on gatherings will stay in place, and we just collectively, all the citizens, all of us, just need to adhere to that so we don't end up in trouble again. Because at that point, we could be caught way off guard as far as supplies, protective equipment, etc.
Do you have a sense?
Tom.
I know that one of the efforts that looking at is going to have, the countries that have been most successful with this have had really effective contact tracing and follow-up. Do you have a sense of who the governor is going to ask? Is that going to fall to you or to us, or are they going to manage that? Do you have a sense of how he's trying to create the personnel that will do that effectively for us?
Well, thus far, it's been through the health department. I can't imagine the governor or his cabinet wishing to do anything different.
Yeah.
I truly think if those responsibilities were placed upon municipalities / municipal health officers, et cetera, I think that would open up the door for a tremendous amount of confusion and a tremendous amount of lost information. So I can't honestly foresee the governor looking to do anything like that.
Okay, and I just didn't know whether you had been hearing about that as to how I just know it is likely to entail somewhat significant staffing up, and I didn't know whether that was a conversation that was falling within the emergency medical community or not.
I haven't heard any of that specifically. Again, strictly an assumption, an educated assumption is if necessary, the National Guard would be pulled in to provide that extra need people need.
Tom, I want to give David a chance to ask questions as well, but before we jump there, I just want to ask if you know anything about landmarks numbers, the success rate in testing there, what that looked like, how that all turned out for them.
Haven't heard a thing. Have
Okay.
not heard a thing. No.
Okay.
And I can certainly ask the question on Friday. I don't know if we'll actually have any answers.
Yeah, that was more out of my own curiosity. I don't want you to waste any of your time on my curiosity.
Okay, I'll add it to the list of questions and we'll ask it.
David, do you have any questions or comments?
I do. Tom, considering that we don't know what this new normal is going to be, and I'm imagining you're putting in a tremendous amount of hours right now. It's part of the plan to prepare for the giving you some kind of help. As part of that plan, have you thought about how you might not put in so many hours and be able to deal with what this new normal might look like in case we do have another bump?
Well, right now, several of our folks have been a huge help. They've been into the station during some daytime hours. They've done some things for us, evening hours, things like that. So that's been fine. It's been a huge help. Moving forward, we don't have anything firm in place yet. In reality, it's going to be difficult to put something firm in place surrounding that. We're just going to have to react as things develop, as things come up. So within that, however, our reaction, we're going to be able to react quickly and get things taken care of quickly with regard to your concerns. So I have no doubt about that.
I guess my concern is we wouldn't be able to do this without you. And if you're putting in the number of hours you're putting in now for an extended period of time, I can't imagine you'll be able to sustain that forever. So I'm just concerned about you. That's all.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and certainly it's not me. There's a tremendous amount of it's all us. So yeah, I'm putting in a number of hours. It is what it is. Again, I've got plenty of support. So anytime what I don't want to do right now is use that all up. Because the more I try to slough off, so to speak, if that's appropriate terminology, the more worn out they're going to get, and the more time they're going to be away from their families before potentially they absolutely have to be. So that's all. I mean, it's a big balancing act, and right now everything's good. If I get to the point where I'm realizing I can't do anymore, then yeah, well, I'll pass a lot of stuff off and I'll take a breather. But at this point, I'm good, and I appreciate what you're saying.
Well, I guess my last little bit is that if the new normal is going to require more people, what do we do to get you more people, not just the people that you have, so that the weight is off of everybody a little bit? Just a thought, maybe something to think about. I really don't know your job. I don't know what you go through.
Honestly, short term, it's going to be through mutual aid.
Okay.
And some options within that. Long term, I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Can I jump in? Yep. Sorry. Can I jump in with a suggestion? We have scheduled emergency meetings for every other week to fill in the weeks that we regularly don't meet. And I suggest that next week we take some time to really digest and discuss all of this, especially once we get the news from the governor on Friday. It'll give us more to work off of, and maybe we can start to form strategy around addressing the new norm.
Right. Yeah, I would just comment also that, it would appear, at least in this moment, that there is a certain level of increased altruism that we should not miss an opportunity if it's there. Coming out of this might be a great time to really do a recruiting push. And what that looks like and how successful it might be, who knows? But I think this has made everybody aware in a different way of their sort of need to commit and involve themselves in societal realities. So I don't know, it might be, if we can think about that in advance, that might be helpful to us.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, Tom. Well, considering those many, many hours you're working, I would love to let you go if the rest of the select board feels comfortable with that at this point. Karen, did you have any questions?
Okay,
No, I'm
Thank
all
you.
set. I'm all set.
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a good night.
Tom.
Thank you. Okay. So our next order of business is the VTrans annual financial plan review and approval. And
Okay. So in your packet, there's the annual financial plan for VTrans. And Megan Brunk helped me out with this, as she does every year. Has everybody taken a look
You
at it?
froze up for a minute there, Karen. Can you?
Sorry. I think it's you, Josh, but for the annual financial plan,
Oh, might be. I couldn't hear. Yeah.
has everyone reviewed it?
yes,
So what
Yes.
I'm looking for is an approval from the select board.
So moved.
And seconded.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
So basically, this annual financial plan allows the state to grant money to us, whether we have projects or not. It does fluctuate year after year. And they say if the number is higher, the better grant percentage we will get. So I've seen some years that the number was lower, but I've also seen, as last year, it was a lot higher. So, but last year we had two major projects. One was a structures project, and we had a paving project as well. And for 2021, we don't have any projects scheduled. So the number we're looking at is 849,942.
Any other discussion?
Does this tell us anything, Karen? I don't think it does, but does it tell you anything about when we should put our name in again for a next project? I mean, is that something we should be? I don't want to miss that opportunity when it comes up, and I don't assume we will, but just keeping an eye on deadlines and things.
Yeah, no, Brian is really good about planning, and he usually knows what he wants to do the following year. So if you look back in the past year, Josh, we had two culverts that we replaced. So he had Holland Hill, and then he had Houghton Road. And And then he had the big paving project as well on Westminster Road. So now
Yeah.
he wants to do some smaller projects, get caught up. He does have Holland Hill on his schedule for this year to do ditching in any culvert replacement there for the stormwater management. And so he's regrouping right now. But I anticipate by fall, he will know what he's going to want to do in 2022.
Okay. And that ditching is part of the grant supported project also, isn't it?
That is the grants and aid grant funding through Windham Regional, which is about $20,000.
Okay.
David, did you have any questions or comments?
No, the grant money that comes out, is there a process, a timing? Josh pointed at this. Is there, what is the timing of needing to get, in line for that kind of thing? Will that be when Brian knows what he wants to do next year, or?
No, there's a process, David, and it comes out at a certain time. It's usually in the fall. So you submit, and then if you're on the list, you have to be at the top of the list for both structures and paving. So we've gotten a paving grant for the last couple of years. So Brian knows we have to wait 3 years.
I see. Okay.
And it's the same thing with the structures grant with VTrans. The thing with the structures grant is if you're not ready to do your project, they'll put you on hold, but they're going to give that money to somebody else who's already ready. So sometimes you luck out if you have a project, but if you're too busy and you can't get the project done, then you're not utilizing that money.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I was referring to, is just making sure that we're keeping an eye on what we want to have our eye on going forward, so that we don't miss those opportunities.
Yeah, between Brian and I, we keep an eye on that. So anytime there's money, Josh, and we're ready to utilize it, we're going to go after it.
You're looking for it? Good.
Should have just asked that. So.
And I can't remember, Karen, do we have any money in our regular highway budget for paving this year or not?
We have $100,000.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah. And then we have 15,000 for bridges.
And do you already know what we're thinking of paving and when we need to go out to bid?
I do not.
Okay.
And I would think it'd be, if we're doing any paving, we'd have to go out to bid soon.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right. Because if you wait too long, you get into fall and who knows. But right now with the virus, contractors are not working.
Yeah, no, probably a good idea to get in that queue though.
Yes.
Any more discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion's been passed. Karen, we have to sign paperwork for this.
You do.
How would you, and I know you and I had discussed the potential of e-signatures, which I think we'll discuss in other business. Do you just want to hold off until other business to discuss that, or?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So the People's Bank OmniBus resolution review and approval.
Laura, can I jump back one?
Yeah.
So there is a certification of compliance for town road and bridge standards.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve that certification of compliance.
And second that.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I will add, this is something that we do. It's part of this annual financial plan. The select board did readopt the town road and bridge standards on August 28th, 2019, per the state's recommendations. And our town road and bridge standards are a little bit better, a little bit stronger than the state's. So I'm comfortable with what we have in place. And that's all I have to say on that.
And all our numbers match your data as far as distance and so on.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, there has not been any new roads added to Putney, so that hasn't changed since I've been here. As you know, we've talked about a couple roads, or a couple trails that people would like to see them as roads. I mean,
Yeah.
it would benefit the town, but the cost is out of reach for some people.
Yep.
So it's been moved and seconded, and hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Passed. No problem. And now, moving on to the People's Bank OmniBus Resolution Review and Approval. And so this is to authorize Alyssa Harlow as temporary treasurer on our People United Bank account.
I will add, in our last meeting, we appointed Alyssa as temporary treasurer, and we appointed Jonathan Johnson as the assistant treasurer, temporary. After I had talked to the bank, Josh and David and Laura, I spoke with Lori, she's our contact person, and she had asked, she goes, originally I had Jonathan on the paperwork as well, but having somebody on the resolution will grant them the power to make any changes within the account. And the purpose of adding Jonathan at this time was because of the virus. And if we lost, like, Alyssa to illness or something, I had a second signer. Now, Jonathan will only be signing checks. And Lori explained that all we needed to do for Jonathan was to have him fill out the signature card, which he's done that. I've sent it off to the bank. So once we get this resolution processed, they will get all the paperwork in place and he can go to the bank and he will become a signer, but he has no authorization to make any changes within that account. And I'm confident that Alyssa would not make any changes without speaking to me.
So this is a checks and balances
It
issue,
is
just
check
making
and
sure that
balance.
we don't have too many hands in the,
Yeah.
okay.
So by appointing, we already voted to appoint Alyssa as temporary treasurer and Jonathan as her assistant. By doing that, we have already done
Yes,
legal action that we need to for Jonathan to be a legitimate signer.
correct.
Okay. So did we already move to approve the People's Bank OmniBus?
Not yet.
I move that. If you want to clarify the language, Karen, I will move that.
It's to authorize Alyssa Harlow as a individual signer.
Well,
I'm
as
already that.
temporary treasurer.
As temporary treasurer.
Yeah, because she is already a signer on the account because she's the assistant treasurer already.
Sure.
And
As-
to
so
clarify,
it's-
I'm already on this OmniBus as the assistant treasurer from before. Now I'm just being title change, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the language we need in order to have a motion?
To authorize Alyssa Harlow as the temporary treasurer, as a
Right.
signer. Sorry, that's a little bit hokey, but
For the town.
for the town of Putney.
So moved.
I second it.
I think we need to mute Alyssa again. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so it's been passed. So we did have Sandglass U.S.D.A. Rural Business Development Grant on here. After speaking to Karen earlier, she has recommended that we table this. On February 27th, we did approve a letter of intent to move forward for a grant. On March 11th, we did not receive the app requested for it. We again requested it, didn't receive it on the 27th. So we do have a narrative now, but we still don't have the application. And until we receive the application, it should be tabled. So tabling
Are they
that.
at risk are they at risk of missing a deadline?
They are. Their deadline is April 15th, Josh, but in an email to me, they asked for certain information such as our EIN number, our DUNS number, our SAMS number with the cage number, which I have all that information, but without seeing the application, I mean, I need to be able to review the application, and I would recommend that the select board see it too before we send it off.
Yeah, but we're not meeting again until the 15th. So what does that mean for them or for us?
It means they're probably going to miss their deadline. They had let me know that I was going to have that application by today, and it still wasn't at the door at 4 p.m.
Do we want to take any action that would allow them to meet that deadline contingent upon individual approval or something? I mean, we can also do that probably via email, but I think all of those numbers they requested are not something certainly that you want to send out as a complete unit in a non-secure, potentially non-secure email.
No, I wouldn't do that.
A lot of information.
Right.
So, what do you think, Laura? Do you want to just leave this in their hands?
I mean, based on the conversation I had with Karen, I feel like it really is out of our hands and it's in theirs. I'm not sure how much further we can go for them. We can, Karen, do you have any suggestions as to a workaround on this? If they were to get it to you tomorrow, we could potentially call a quick meeting to approve it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but let me just. It's going to be.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to burden you any further, Karen. But if they think that they can, I guess we want to be clear with them that if they want to meet this deadline, they have to get it together probably in the next day. In order to allow for us to try and do something for them. Otherwise, they're going to miss the deadline.
Right.
You know, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But if we can accommodate them, I'm sure that would be good for them. But they need to jump right on it if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in conversation with a couple people and, you know, without an application, without a complete package, it might be hard to meet their deadline. I mean, we can do the best we can. I believe I'm going to be signing the application. Does the town manager usually sign? I know the town did one for next stage. Do you recall that one, Josh?
I think we can authorize, well, I think we can authorize you to be the agent, but I don't think it's inaccurate also the statement you made that we probably ought to at least have a look at that application as well.
I prefer, yes, I prefer the select board to at least see it.
I guess my feeling would be.
Okay.
Go ahead, Laura.
Thanks. I was just going to say my suggestion would be is that, you know, if Karen has another conversation with them and they're able to get her the application within the next couple of days, then maybe it's something where we could call a quick emergency meeting to review and sign off on it. I'm not sure how far it can be pushed out, so.
Yeah, we'll have to see what, I mean, 2 days. I'll wait 2 days if they can get us the information, but who knows what's, you know, next week will be like. I mean, I can try to fit it in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and again, I don't want to burden you unnecessarily. And they've already created that situation, but if we can help bail them out of that situation, I wouldn't object to doing that.
Okay.
So I think we'll just leave the ball in your court, Karen.
All right, I will reach out to them and see what I can do. And if we see the application and it's complete, then I will call a meeting.
Great.
I suppose the other question would be if the deadline for submission is April 15th at midnight, then we don't have to worry about it. But just confirm that with them.
Yep, I will.
Okay, so we're moving on to select board appointments for board committee. And everybody should have received in their packet the entire slate. I'm going to suggest that we approve these by the slate.
So moved.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I'd just like to take a moment to thank everybody that steps into these positions. They're purely volunteer and sometimes very time consuming and energy consuming. We appreciate them all.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I want to just state that some of our committees and our boards are low with numbers. Our planning commission right now only has 2 members. That's not a planning commission. So we are really seeking volunteers that want to sit on a board or a commission. And at this point, those that have low numbers, we're going to try to fill them. And we are in dire need for volunteers.
What is the number for the planning commission, Karen? Is it 7? Is that right?
I believe so.
So even to have a quorum, we would need 4. I mean, it's presumably a quorum of 2 if there's only 2 members, but that's obviously way less than ideal.
Right. I think that, Alyssa, can you confirm, is it 5 for the planning commission? It's 7 for the development review board.
Yeah, and the development review board doesn't have any alternates either, so they don't even have any backup. But I think it is 5 for the planning board.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
And our energy committee is completely
Dissolved.
defunct at this
I'm gonna
point.
have to I'm gonna recreate that from the ground up.
In your spare time.
I'm opening up the appointee list just to be sure, because I think the development review board is also low on regular members too.
I think the DRB, it can be as many as 9, can it?
I thought it was always 7, but I could be mistaken.
So, oh no, so the development review board has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 1 vacant seat, and then we have 3 vacant alternates. We did have an alternate, but who was it?
It was Peter Loomis.
Yeah, he never responds to my asking him if he wants to continue. And last year when he finally did get back to me, he was kind of sounding like he would rather not. So this year he didn't respond. So I'm just don't know what to do about that. But planning commission is 5. Is 5, but we only have 2.
So I don't even think they can legally meet with 2 members. It's not a quorum.
Does it have to be a quorum of the original number though, or does it have to be a quorum of the existing members?
No, it's the original number.
Huh.
I think that varies depending on the obligation of the committee, but I mean, with only 2 members, you can't legitimately have a quorum. You know,
Right.
Yeah, it's,
half of
no, I hear
so
you.
that's-
Yeah.
You have to have at least 1 more member. The other
Exactly.
thing
Yeah.
with the planning commission, they do a lot of work, like the town plan, the zoning regulations, and they're working on the wildlife tracking right now. And those are major projects. And unless they get involved with Windham Regional, they really need to have a stable number on that committee so they can share the work.
I would agree, and our select board is 3, and at times there's only 2 of us in a meeting, and I'm not. Yeah. So, all right. Well, is there any further discussion on this? So it's been moved and seconded, and hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 So it's been passed. And now we're moving on to the Windham Regional Commission appointments. And we can approve this as a mini slate of Karen M. Astley and Stephen Dotson.
So moved.
Would anyone?
And seconded.
Great. Any discussion?
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Welcome. I'm learning a lot from Windham Regional.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in our county.
Wonderful.
It's
Okay, so it's been
definitely to our advantage to have good representation on that commission.
Yep. And Stephen's a good asset as well.
and he is the, remind me, he's now the energy
Coordinator,
director
right?
coordinator for Brattleboro.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And we investigated, there's no conflict there for him.
There is no conflict.
Perfect. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded, and hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it's been passed. Great. And now we are moving on to the town manager's report.
So I put out some surveys Where's my, hang on a minute, I'm lost. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about broadband communication survey update. So the results are in from the broadband communication, and I sent everyone a packet, and it has Putney's numbers in here, which I was very impressed with.
I was
they
too.
were like 21% participated in the survey, which, you know, seems like a low number, but for Putney, I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So Windham Regional and ValleyNet and the other company, I can't, it's not on the top of my head right now. They're going to move forward with the feasibility study for broadband fiber to see what the next steps will be. But based on, you know, the survey results. So with the virus too, I'm not sure how this deadline will be impacted, but I mean, there's already a timeline on it, so I think they're going to try to stick to that schedule.
Well, the data coming out of that was pretty interesting. Thank you for sharing it.
Oh, you're welcome. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Do we have any immediate obligations going forward, or?
We do not. So they're gonna do the feasibility study. I would imagine, well, not now. I was gonna say, I would imagine they're gonna have another meeting, but unless they do it, you know, a virtual meeting. What I can ask Windham Regional what the next step might be, because everything is in such a flux right now. We just don't know.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Locally grown resources survey for Putney. I did finally get that out. We had a few glitches on that. I have to thank Laura for helping me out on that.
Anytime.
But we got that one out and the business survey, and we're trying to generate some more data, try to help people figure out what we have locally in Putney for like produce, whether it be vegetables or meat or eggs or whatever that can help people, because with this virus and you know, the stay at home and only go out for groceries, and as you know, supermarkets, you know, are still have empty shelves, and if we can help people locally and they can provide resources, I think it's better for our community. But
Yeah, I find this so exciting. I think that this builds resiliency and stability and sustainability for our future beyond this virus. And I think it's exactly in the vein of the conversation that Tom had speculated the governor would like us to be having. And so I really commend Karen for having taken the time and initiative to get this going and get it out there to the public, and encourage anybody that's watching that grows or has a business or has any other kind of resources that they would like to offer to their local community, please participate, because it's a great way that we can all connect and support one another.
yes, and we did the same thing with the business survey. So basically it's asking our businesses that basically had to go to takeout, You know, what do they offer? You know, do they have gift cards? Are they doing takeout? Are they doing curbside? So we have to try to support our local businesses like the Putney Diner and the general store and, you know, like the bookstore. And, you know, it's how do we help them get through this? And how can we guide them to the appropriate resources so, you know, they might be able to get financial monies to help them get back on their feet. You know, this has been a big shock to everyone, and it's unfortunate. And I mean, I drive down Main Street and you can see the impact. It's not a good situation right now.
No, but I also have to commend them for their quick adaptation to all of this. I have seen each of our local businesses doing some really remarkable marketing and changing their systems so quickly to support the public need and to also continue doing the best that they can to, if not thrive, survive this.
Right.
Yeah, well, we're certainly also, I mean, this is sort of a different vein, but, you know, I think it was David who brought up a while ago the reality of longer term financial fallout from this for tax payments, et cetera. And I think we're going to have to be, we're not going to see that until, you know, I mean, given that tax bills may be delayed, we're certainly not going to see it until at least August, but, you know, over the next year, we're going to have to really look at how we're going to manage. And I'm very hopeful that there will be legislative support for how we are supposed to manage that, because I suspect that's going to be very real for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I know for myself, that the first thing that I did is I looked at every project moving forward and figured out what I could not spend money on and still keep moving forward and keep everything as close to zero as possible. I also heard from a friend today about the Small Business Association's 2 different loans that are available for small businesses. One, a quick $10,000 loan that could, the portions of it that are used to pay employees don't have to be paid back or something like that. And a larger loan that you can apply for, I think, up to like $10 million. And any portion of that that is being paid towards salaries or help would not be eligible, would not be required to be paid back either. And so I think there's resources out there for people. I don't know if they're availing themselves to them or not. I know I haven't done anything but for myself, but I think as a town, we have to be really careful about, we have to be really frugal. Of course, I always think that way, but but moving forward, I think we need to be really, really, really cautious. There's going to be a lot of people that have a really hard time.
Yeah.
People who normally wouldn't have a hard time or we'd have any problem with who will now. And how do we address that?
So I have to agree with you, David. There is quite a bit of information out there for small businesses, for people that are unemployed. And I would recommend they either go to the State of Vermont websites or go to our websites, because the links are on our website, and tap into those resources.
Yeah, and I know we've made this point before, but I'll repeat it, just the importance of doing that sooner rather than later, because that will be a first come, first served venue. And, you know, stimulus being what it is, it'll probably come in rounds, but if you haven't applied, you're not going to get it. And that'll, at a minimum, delay you significantly, if not prevent you from receiving those funds.
Right. So my next item was town business hours. So the town hall currently is staffed 4 days a week. There's no one in the office on Friday, but 8 to 4 are the hours. We can be reached by telephone. We can be reached by email. We are still trying to conduct business the best we can. We have absolutely no in-person contact with other people at this time. So recommendation is to call the office and talk to us for what you're looking to do. So right now, dog licenses are due. Hunting and fishing licenses can be done online, but it can't be done online if you don't have a printer or you don't have a computer. So you can call John Johnson, town clerk, and he can walk you through. And, you know, Alyssa and I are there usually on Monday and Wednesday, but we are retrieving all our voicemails, and we all have email that go to our smartphones or to our home computers. So email is the best communication right now. So we will do our best to get back to people right away. The highway department is still working 40 hours a week. They are grading roads. The east side of Putney has already been done. Brian's looking at a 3-week grading schedule. So he took a ride around town and he took a look at all the roads, and it's going to be a slow go with one grader, but the grader is out there. They are grading roads. They're also trucking gravel and sand at the moment. So they're staying busy. Now, the other thing too with the highway department, I just want to let everybody know that, you know, it's good to have the downtime, but the crew cannot put up a road sign because it takes 2 people. So there's no social distancing, but there's some things that they'll be able to do. But right now, concentrating on isolating themselves. They all have their own equipment. There's no cross contamination with any equipment. And if it's a rain day, they're at home, just to let people know. If it's raining, Brian will send the crew home so they're not hanging out in the garage. So Brian's well aware of this virus, and everyone's fear is that we're going to lose somebody to this virus. You know, like a 2-week quarantine, which potentially could be a problem. So we're all taking a lot of caution, and we're trying to keep that 6-foot distance. The listers are still working too. They're still trying to meet their deadline. They're a little more casual about 6 feet distance, but you know, we just keep reminding one another. So, but that's basically
I'm
the
getting
hour.
a bunch of from somewhere.
What was that?
Are you taking notes?
Are you hearing my notes? I'm sorry. I can mute.
Yes. Pencil on the, or pen on the table.
I'm sorry, that is me. I'll stop taking notes.
So that's all I have about office hours at this point. And those are subject to change.
As is everything.
Do you feel
right
like
now.
it's working well?
Yeah, it's working well. I like it better now that we're staggered. So, you know, of course, Alyssa and I are in there together, but, you know, we're separated. And, you know, Jonathan's in there, you know, usually by himself. Sometimes I'm in there on a Tuesday, but, you know, we're at separate ends of the building. So it's just trying to remember that we have to wash things down, you know, so we enter the building, you know, I like to try to wash things right away.
Something like that.
You know, so I think we've been proactive about trying to wash our hands, disinfect, and
one piece in doing business is that you are able to mail items like dog licenses and fishing licenses and whatever folks need out to them to reduce contact.
yes, yep. You know, we have the mail slot in the front of the building. So if anybody needs to drop anything off, they can just put it in the mail slot and then we can process it and then put it back out in the mail.
Really helpful, thank you.
You're welcome. So that's all I have for town manager's report.
Karen, I don't think this was in our packet, but I know I saw from you some information on the response from BLCT about the fire truck article. Can you, it wasn't clear to, it was clear to me that the bond issue is problematic as far as how we would work through it. I didn't feel there was a clear answer about going to private lending institutions. Do you have the information you need?
I have enough information right now. So the one thing that I'm concerned about is because we voted on a 10-year bond, you know, $550,000 at 2%. So the interest rate concerns me.
Yeah.
Especially if we won't know what the interest rate is until it comes back from the bidders. I mean, that concerns me a lot. And I haven't started researching what the banks are doing right now, but I will look at it. And again, I haven't really talked to Larry. I know Larry.
I didn't feel like there was, I don't know whether there was an answer or even whether the question was sort of voiced that they could answer whether we can legally go to a bank if we chose to, if we met the criteria lined up in the vote.
Right.
I'll have to go back and reread it because I read it as no, that we have to stick strictly within the language of what was voted on. But
and that's how I interpreted that first paragraph for sure.
Well,
yeah.
I definitely agree with you as far as a bond. If we were to get a bond, then it would need to meet that criteria. For me, it wasn't clear to me whether that left us with the opportunity of going to a bank if it would come in at less than 2% or not. I think
Right.
that's, I don't know whether that's possible, but
I can ask for clarification.
okay.
So.
Right. Warrants?
Yes. Do we have a motion?
I will move that we approve and execute the warrants as presented upon completion of review.
And then second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
There were several things that weren't familiar to me here, Karen. I assume it's all legitimate. I don't know whether we want to go through any of it, but Advantage Truck Group.
Can we do payroll first?
Sure.
Can we
let's-
pass it first?
Yeah.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. going to start with payroll warrant dated April 10th. In the amount of $15,846.67. And then
That all
we
looks,
any questions, Josh? Looks good?
nope, not on that, no.
Okay. David, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set. Yep.
Okay. Any questions, Laura?
You'd hear from me. No.
All right. So accounts payable dated March 28th through April 10th, 2020, in the amount of $86,264.20.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is Southwestern New Hampshire District that we're paying $31,000 to? What is
Okay,
that?
so
Dispatch.
that's our mutual aid
Okay.
system. So with this bill, David, so half of it is billed in this fiscal year,
Mhm.
and then the other half is a prepaid for the next fiscal year, because they only bill it once.
Okay.
So we end up splitting it. It's an odd thing, but
So are you saying we pay $15,000 a year or we pay $31,000 a year?
it's $31,000, but it's in 2 different fiscal years.
But we're paying, so what Karen is saying is that every year we pay $31,000 or whatever that new number is. We just pay it in 2 different payments,
Right.
sort of counterintuitive how it works out on paper versus what we pay the same amount,
Right.
but we pay it in 2 different lots towards 2 different time periods.
Their fiscal year and our fiscal year don't coincide.
They do not.
Got it.
And sometimes it could be an auditing nightmare, because we
Got it.
just experienced that.
You can't convince them to change their fiscal year to match us.
I don't know, but so in the past, just to share with you, in the past, what would happen is we'd make the payment now, we'd make one payment, and then we would hold on to the bill until like July, and then pay him for the other half of the year.
Got it.
So it looks big, David, but when it comes out in the wash, half of it will be in this fiscal year, and then the other half will be for fiscal year 21.
It looks big because it is. It's big.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Right.
it's right what Karen's saying, but we still end up paying $32,000 a year. And
Yeah.
what it is specifically, David, is for dispatch services.
I get it.
So it's Keene Mutual Aid Dispatch is what it is.
It is, yep.
And the
It's a good
$18,000, I'm sorry, is insurance?
It's what? 18,000, yes.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that went up because we added a family plan, and then we added a 2-person plan, both in the highway department. So
What are the locks and alarms? The countryside lock and alarms.
that is the camera system that was put in down at the fire station. So we have a grant, an equipment grant, that allowed us like $3,600 to put in a camera system at the fire station and a camera system at the wastewater treatment plant. So the fire station is done, and I don't know when the wastewater treatment plant, if it'll even get done this year. I'm hoping, but
Who monitors them?
so it'll all go into the fire station. onto
Okay.
their computer there, which is a good thing because if there's any issues, it automatically goes there and the alarm will go off too. So at the wastewater treatment plant, not only will they have the camera system, but they will have an automatic fire alarm that goes to the fire station.
So we won't have a separate monitoring service, is that correct?
No, it'll go right directly to the fire station through mutual aid.
Okay. And those
And
are,
then-
those cameras are, the focus of those cameras are exterior of the building, is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
And then it's up to like Tom or one of his people to review if an incident happens, if an issue arises.
Yeah, but I would think too, it would go to their smartphone. There's got to be an app for those cameras to go to somebody's smartphone. So I haven't checked. It just barely got in place. So
Yeah.
I don't know the whole ins and outs of the system, Laura, but I'm sure we can find out.
Yeah, it's not at the top of my list right now, but that's interesting. I think, Josh, were you asking about Advantage Truck Group?
Yeah, there were just several things on, I mean, I'm not particularly concerned about it, but they're just names I don't recognize. Advantage Truck Group, Allen Engineering.
Of course, I don't have any of the invoices in front of me.
Advantage Truck Group is, I think, a part of Patriot Freightliner. It's where they get a lot of their parts for the trucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Allen Engineering is the
That's the pool place, right?
right, in the sewer department. They get all of their
Chemicals and
chemicals
okay.
and stuff. Yeah, we pay an invoice from them once a month.
Yeah, this one's
Did they
low.
change-
Yeah, it's really low.
All right.
Was it always Allen Engineering?
No, actually, it was Allen Pools and Spas.
Right.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right.
So how do you want to manage those, Karen? Do you want us to, we may have already done this. Do you want us to just come in and sign them as we're able?
We were going to talk about that in other business, but if you guys want to go ahead and make a motion to, oh, you already made the emotion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Right.
can just move into other business now and have that conversation. I think that's an important one.
Right.
So Karen had suggested the possibility of electronic signing, but without us actually having researched that. I'm not sure if that's feasible at this time. Maybe it's something we could discuss next week. In the meanwhile, as Josh was saying, do you just want us to all come in when we have time and sign those, like committing to getting it done in the next day or two?
So everyone has a key to the building. So and I have all the paperwork with me right now. So that would mean me going to the office tomorrow to bring all this stuff in for you to sign.
Karen, both of the warrants are in Laura's mailbox if they wanted to sign those, and all of the minutes are in David's box, which, by the way, David, your box is overflowing. So if you wanted to at least sign those are there at your convenience.
So
the copy of the bank paperwork, could I just bring that and sign it and leave it in my box? Is the copy good enough, or does it have to be an original?
It should be an original.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna have to
oh,
we'll have to
yeah.
figure this out because we definitely need signatures. And I suppose
Well,
I like your idea, Alyssa, if we just make the copies and leave the copies in Laura's mailbox.
yeah. Well, if Laura has in her packet everything that needs to be signed, she could sign it so it's an original with her signature,
Right.
put it in her mailbox, and the other two can sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
There's like three things. There's like three things, I think.
Yeah.
There's the VTrans, the two VTrans documents, and the People's Bank Omnibus document
warrant.
that need to be signed. And then the warrants are in my mailbox. I didn't print those.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you can't issue checks until those warrants have signatures on them. I think we could make a motion,
So
right?
come tomorrow and sign them.
But, right, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that Laura should do that. So I will make a motion that for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic, we allow Laura to be the primary signature, and then David and I will follow up as we are able on all warrants from here until the pandemic is completed.
And I second that. I'm fine with that.
So can I make a comment?
Yeah.
So please sign in blue ink.
Yeah.
That way I know it's the original. And number two is, I wanted to say something and it's gone. Sorry.
Might come back to you.
I
So
lost-
it's been moved and seconded. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Where are we gonna put those once they're signed?
I can either leave them in my mailbox. I'll leave them in my mailbox. I won't be the last person to sign. So whoever's the last person to sign, we'll have to put it wherever you want it.
Can just leave it there and I'll pick it up on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to bring a can of Lysol with me and spray everything?
No, but my recommendation is if you guys go like Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, knowing that there's not going to be anyone in the building, that would
Right.
probably be better.
Yeah.
And if you unlock the front door handle, please make sure it's locked.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you gotta test it.
No, I think legally, Laura, you need to sign tomorrow because those checks will be, at least payroll will be distributed Friday. And without your signature on those warrants, those checks are not technically legitimate.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'll go in first thing in the morning and sign them, and I'll plan that as my routine for Thursday mornings after a select board meeting with warrants to go in very first thing Thursday morning and do the signatures. And I'm really good at social distancing, so if anybody's in there, I'll keep away. Yes.
You can come in the side door because John will have it open, but you have to print those warrants because they are in your box already.
Fantastic. All right. Sounds like a plan has been made. So it's been moved and seconded, and hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So, Laura, don't take this as a criticism at all, but just so you know, I think when you go back to get a vote on these, per Robert's rules, you can't just say it's been moved and seconded. You need to say it's been moved and seconded to approve, and it can be abbreviated, but you have to clarify what we're voting on. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but just
Okay.
a one sentence addition to that, I think, is Robert's rules.
Okay. I will make sure to do that going forward. Oh, okay. Do we have any other business?
No.
I'll just comment. I did one of the electronic signature things with another organization recently. On
Yeah.
my end, it was super simple.
Yes.
So I think that would be, if we can make that work, that would be.
Um,
I'm not sure what's involved on the other end because I didn't have to do it, but
So-
all I had to do was click on a link and then choose a signature that looked sort of like mine and click on that, and it was done.
So I just did an electronic signature today. It's fairly easy. And if you're all in agreement to use electronic signatures for this temporary period, we can get it set up. And I would be the one initiating the signature on the documents. No
Yes.
one else. I would be responsible and accountable for your signatures.
As long
So
as you're
when we-
comfortable
when
with that,
we-
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I am too. And I think what we would probably have to do, we might want to check with the state on this, is just, we would probably have to approve you as the initiator of that or something. I'm not sure. We should just find out what the obligation is for how to make that legitimate.
I will inquire with BLCT tomorrow and see if I can get an answer.
Sounds good.
I think there's two different kinds of electronic signature things too, and I think you're both talking about two different kinds. Like I think Karen, maybe not, but I think you're thinking that they give you their electronic signature and you place it on a document. Is that what you're meaning?
Not me, no. I've created my own electronic signature.
Yeah.
So, and I know what Josh is talking about because they send it to you.
Right.
And you just plop it on there. It's a little sticky and then you click on there and your signature comes in there. But we can create those right at the office because I've done it.
Oh, cool.
I just have to remember how I did it, Alyssa.
Okay. Well, yeah, because you can do it where it automatically sends to the next person on the list after the first person signs it.
Oh, nice.
Because I
Okay.
did that with the house and all this. Like I would sign it, Lance would sign it, and then his brother had to sign
Yeah.
because he owns the other house that we own. So
Yeah.
he had to sign too. And so it was like all three of us got it in a row.
All right.
So.
Well, if the select board is okay with electric signatures and we are able to do that, which I'll find out, then, maybe that's the route to go for now.
I'm supportive.
Maybe in 2 weeks, we're going to be all at home.
We already are.
You mean back at the office?
Well, it's good to know, as Josh said earlier, and I agree, and organizationally where I work, we're looking at this too, is this is likely to come in waves, and we need to be prepared and have systems in place going forward so that we can navigate this more easily. Any other business?
I'm just wondering whether Karen's backdrop is digital or flannel.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Oh.
It has a very holiday-esque feel.
What are you hiding? That's what I want to know.
No, you
I'm not
don't.
Behind there, you don't want us to see.
Yeah, well.
The only other thing that I would bring up is the Putney Mutual Aid Group, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, is doing some really amazing work. They've built a pretty incredible system to connect people, and they've been able to effectively connect folks with Tom, which is what he was speaking to before, where they've been able to connect volunteer counselors and folks that need that support through him. I know that, I don't know if you've received it yet, Karen, but they plan on sending some producers your way for your survey. So it's really heartening to see how our community is coming together during this time and truly supporting each other. And I'm very proud of the work that they're doing.
I am too, and they've been very supportive for our office. And, you know, anytime, I'm just thankful we have people in the community willing to help.
Mhm.
I want to thank everybody who's making the masks too. I think
Yeah.
the effort is just beyond.
It really is. Landmark has started or will be starting soon, and I should actually say I believe that they will be starting soon to 3D print masks if they haven't already. We were able to connect them with somebody that already had the knowledge of how to do it, and they have the printers. So that's really exciting too, that they're going to start printing masks for our first responders and our hospital.
Yeah. No, they've stepped up to the plate big time.
Laura, I think you said before that the person heading up, or one of the people heading up the mutual aid group, is Ruby McAdoo. Is that true?
Yes.
And who is working directly with her at sort of the top of that process?
So it's Ruby, Kathleen Dewich,
Yeah.
Jamie Contois is a big piece of it. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now. Sarah.
Farmer Jones?
Hold on one second here. Bear with me, and I will find you the.
I want to
Yes,
shout out
Sarah Armour Jones. Thank you.
Hannah Pick too.
So, Hannah Pick, the folks from Putney Community Cares. It's really, there's a core leadership group that has been doing a lot of the guiding work. And then there's every week, there's a large slate of us that meets, which includes our local representatives, Notter and Mike, and local representatives from the different organizations in our town, myself, and a few other community members that have been really driven to make this happen. And then there's a communications team, which I'm on, but I have to be like very clear that most of the heavy lifting has been done by other people. I'm just sitting in and listening and occasionally throwing in some input, but trying to make sure that I'm playing the role that I'm supposed to be playing of liaison. They're just doing incredible work. It's been tied in with our local businesses as well. So they're trying to work with the local businesses to help with grocery delivery. Truly remarkable. And something I think that will serve us well going forward for many years. They're building it strong.
And I also want to comment to certain residents that have ideas and they'll shoot me an email and I'm able to like throw it over to the mutual aid group and they hook everybody up. And it's been incredible. And it's big for me to do that with everything else going on. It's really difficult. And I feel like this group handles it efficiently and and people's, you know, their needs are met.
Good.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's the exact kind of collaboration we were hoping for.
Yeah. It's working. I like it. I'm really impressed too with the community right now.
Putney has a lot to be proud of.
All right, so we probably have another meeting date on that agenda. I don't have it in front of me. And then,
We do, except it says April 8th.
Who made that mistake? All right, let me look. Sorry, guys.
So I believe it's April 15th that we're supposed to be meeting, and that's our 5 o'clock, not a 5:30.
Right, April 15th is the emergency preparedness meeting. So April 22nd is the next select board meeting.
but we also have a meeting the 15th at 5.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would love to see for us start to, and if you to have any ideas, or I would love to see us start building an agenda aside from just COVID response for those meetings, because I feel like some of what Tom talked about earlier and what both you, Josh, and you, David, were saying are really important pieces that we need to start addressing as soon as possible and fleshing out. We may not be able to come up with the answers, but at least to have the discussions, I think, is really important.
Yeah, because I don't think we're in the thick of it yet. And then when we come down that downside, and like Tom mentioned, it's going to be recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to plan for that, because it's not like everybody's just going to be able to come back out onto the streets. And
No, not at all. All right. I will make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
The motion to adjourn is moved. Or did I say that right, Josh? You're going to have to
Motion.
correct me as I go.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Long day. Aye.
have a good night, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.